Good morning there. We're almost into August now, and I know a lot of you out there are thinking about a lot of Christmas things, me included. It comes upon us so fast, particularly for us this year, because we have a wedding later in the year with my daughter as well, and it's going to be non-stop everything. So definitely got to start thinking about it. So this is a perfect little gift. We have a little gingerbread person here, little gingerbread biscuit. And as you can see, yes, you guessed it, he has a little sweet treat. We have a rather squashed now because I've been practicing on it, Ferrero Rocher. So he just sort of just slot in there. Again, it's great to pop on the side, pop in somebody's stocking, pop on the, I don't know, on the Christmas tree if it had a nice little ribbon in there. And he also stands quite nicely without the chocolate. So it's quite solid. So you don't have to sort of worry that when the chocolate's gone you can't use it. You can pop it on the side. If it's something that's going on your tree, on a yearly basis you can always pop a little treat in. This is a Ferrero Rocher. There are others out there that will fit. It's just a case of getting that sort of size sphere, that's all. So I'm going to pop the chocolate to one side just for a little bit. We will need to measure with it, and I'll move him over. I'm using a double knit yarn, so I have this sort of nice sort of biscuity colour here. I have a little bit of white just for the details of the icing, and a little bit of red, which I've done for the bow tie and for the mouth, but you don't have to do those colours. But on average, when I've seen a biscuit like this, it usually has these sort of colours. That's why I went for that. Now, as far as the crochet hook is concerned, we need a 3mm crochet hook. I am going to be working in, oh, it went a bit fuzzy there, didn't it? I just looked at the camera and it sort of went blurry. I think that's because I moved that away too quickly. It is UK terms, please remember that, so you may require a conversion chart if you're not working on UK terms, but he's quite a simple little fellow. It's done in amigurumi style, so it's a permanent spiral, so you should get on with that quite nicely. The other thing I have here is I've used safety eyes on him. Those are the backs for the safety eyes. These are 6mm safety eyes if you're wanting to know the size, but again, as I always say, if it is going to be for a much younger person, do think about the safety. They are safety eyes. They are pretty solid, but you know, some children like, particularly, they will put things in the mouth. So you could maybe just embroider the details on or something like that. But I'm going to be using safety eyes for today. So I'm going to move the eyes. I'm going to move the extra bits on bobs that we don't need. Some needles there, of course. And I have some scissors on the side here. The only thing I haven't got, as always, is a pen. But to be honest, there's not many rounds, so it's not too bad. So we're going to be using our biscuit colour yarn here, and we're going to get a slip knot in there, and we're going to pop it onto a hook, but not too tight. You need to be able to move it up and down a little bit. So we're going to be doing 2 chain to start with, 1 and 2, and into our first chain here we're going to do 6 double crochets. Remember UK terms. So we have 1, switch yarn in, pull it through 2. That's our second one. 3, 4, 5 and 6. So that's our first round there. If you're not familiar with amigurumi, I have got an amigurumi I can't think of the word then, tutorial on my list, and there are plenty of others out there, so it might be worth, if you're not 100% sure, have a look, because I know the spiral format when you first do it seems a little bit weird because you're wanting to stop and start, which you don't have to, and that's the beauty of it. You don't get a line in your work. So now we're going to do 2, so this is our first one in here, 2 in every single one of those 6. So that's 2 in our first one, 2 double crochets in number 2, 2 in number 3, in number 4, 2 in number 5, and 2 in our number 6. So that's our second round, and we now have 12 stitches. I'm just going to pull this tight. Can you see the little tiny hole there? If you just pull this nice and tight where your slip knot was, it should pull it in. If it doesn't, you may need to sort of stitch round at the end and just pull it tight from that position. We now have 12 stitches. I want 24, so we're going to do 2 in each of these 12. So into our first one, 2 stitches. So that's 1, that's 2 in our second one, 2 and our third, 2 in number 4, 2 in number 5, in number 6, so we're halfway there now, 2 in the 7th, in the 8th, in number 9. Just undo a bit of this yarn because it's going to start rolling about like it always does. In number 9 that was, wasn't it? I must remember. In number 10, we've got 2 more to go. In number 11 and in number 12. So we now have 24 stitches around. We're going to be starting with just double crochet rounds now. And I noticed I didn't get a pen. The other thing I didn't get was a stitch marker. I'm just trying to see if I can see one. Ah, look at that, that's convenient. There was one sat on the side and it is a Christmas tree. So we're themed there purely by accident. So I'm just going to put my stitch marker in. If you prefer to count, it is the best way, to be honest. If it is quiet, we've only got 24 stitches to count. You can count your 24, mark off your row, round should I say. Count 24, mark off your round. But because I'm talking, I'm going to definitely use the stitch marker. There's always a distraction in my house, so a stitch marker is a very, very, very valuable piece of thing. So here we go. We're actually going to be doing 6 rounds, but this is where I mention your tension. When we get to about here, you need to check. See if it is actually fully covering the chocolate, because if your tension's a little bit tight, you can stretch it a bit over the chocolate, but you might need it a little bit longer. If your tension's a little bit looser, you may need 1 stitch less. So we will look at that when we get to that point. But first of all, I have got on mine 6 rounds of 1 double crochet into each stitch. So off we go. And I'm just going to use my stitch marker as my base here. To be honest, when you've done the body, that's the largest bit of this project. The rest is quite simple. Well, the head is just a smaller version of what we're doing now. Off we go. Well, it's certainly cooled down a bit here now. We've had this, I mean, we're not used to hot weather that, well, not that hot over here in the UK. But it has just been raining and raining and raining over the last few days, which we need. It is important, especially because we've got an allotment and the plants are growing fabulously, but we definitely needed that rain. But it's very dull. I've got the light on obviously for filming here, but apart from that, if I was filming without the light, everything would look grey and miserable. So that's our first round of the 6. And you heard that funny little noise. I'm using my needles as a count, as I don't have a pen. I have dozens of pens in here, I just don't have a pen next to me. So our second round, off we go. You can start to feel it curl a little bit at this point. That's okay. We can always sort of push it over into position. It just will naturally curl because we're doing just double crochet rounds now. Can't really see me, little ginger. There you are. There you are, little biscuit. Let's pop you there and you can watch me do it. Do you see it curling? Just push it round. That's all you need to do. Because it'll just keep curling. Get past a couple of rounds and it will straighten out. It's just a little bit annoying to start with, that's all. So it's just 1 double crochet in every single one of those 24 for 6 rounds. So we're already on our set. This is our second. We're almost nearly at the end of our second one. The stitch marker is a little bit big. That is the end of my second one. So I now I'm gonna pop another needle on here. What a weird way of counting. There we go. So that's 2 rounds now. So again, just push it round because it is annoying when it curls up like that. And off we go again with round 3. I am going to be redoing one of my recent Ferrero Rocher covers. So if you see it and wonder why I've done it again, because my first one was done in a 4-ply, and I've had a request if I could do it in a double knit, which for a lot of people makes a lot more sense, to be honest, because double knit's always that one, you've got a little bit of leftover yarn, haven't you? So it's a great project, and I know the person who has requested it does make a lot of these items for charity purposes. So yes, it's nice if you can use sort of odds and sods. You don't want to have to be buying a big ball of 4-ply yarn if it's not something you've not got. So you will see a second elf hat, but I will be doing it in a double knit. So no, I've not gone mad. I'm not doing the same one twice. Right, we're almost round. We're getting a proper curl on this now, aren't we? Hopefully we can get to the end of this one. Ta-da! So that is our round 3, so we're halfway there. Push it out. I'm also going to move my stitch marker up a little bit, because with it being spiral, the position does change, as mad as that sounds. So move it up every sort of maybe 2 to 3 rounds, I think is a good idea. So off we go with our round 4. As I mentioned, the person who's asked me to do the hat is doing it for charity things, and I know as a lot of you do make these, whether they be for school fetes, church fetes, as I say, charity sort of options. They are such a nice little thing to do. They are relatively simple. I know some of mine are simpler than others, but on average they're all quite simple. They're quick to make, they're cheap to make, because you can use sort of bits and bobs of yarn that you've got. And what a lovely gift. It sort of gains everybody something, doesn't it? Somebody gets a lovely gift, the charity gets some money, and yeah, I think they're the perfect sort of charity type project to be doing. And then, like I say, nice and easy and nice and small. Oh, nearly dropped it. There we go. Almost round for round 4. My yarn is catching a little bit there. Let's move it along. I'll still keep looking in there, seeing if I think I'm going too close. Right, that is 4 now. There's 4 needles in my pile. I have 6 actually conveniently over there, so this is okay. Round 5. No, what I was about to say is, because I can look into the camera as I'm doing this, so I'm like looking over. I'm sort of partly sort of unable to see the crochet, so I'm looking through the camera to do it. I don't think I'm too close. It's really hard to know until the actual video is finished. I need to decide where I want it and then make sure I do the same thing every time. But I think some works require you getting in close, and others do require that distance, so it's all constantly changing. I'm going to check the size of this on my chocolate in a minute. Couple more stitches, one more in fact, and I'm going to stop because I want to have a quick check, because I've got 5 rounds now and I need to see, as you see, my poor old chocolate's a little bit squished, so it's badly done by, bless it. Oh, and I've crunched it again. Constantly doing that, I'm sort of pushing it down. So basically you need to see how it is fitting on the chocolate, and it's up to you how far you come down. It does stick sort of quite solid. It's not going to fall out anywhere. I'm going to do another round, but just looking at my tension there, I don't know, I might consider doing another one after that. So I might end up with 7, not 6. It's weird, sometimes your tension can also change. I don't know whether any of you have noticed that. You can make one thing, especially if it's like a granny square, and then you can make another one, say a week later, and you go, well, why is it a different size? I think sometimes it depends on how relaxed you are when you're working. That can make a difference. So pop that to one side. And this is round 6 we are now going for. So this is again the point where you've got to decide how many extra or not extra. My crochet is somewhere in the middle. It used to be silly tight and it used to make my hands hurt. But I think I've relaxed off quite a bit now. So I think I'm sort of pretty average. But I know from people I've taught, you get all sorts of sort of tensions, so it's important. If you do find your tension is really, really loose, it is sometimes worth dropping a hook size. But in this particular case, that would take it down to a 2.75. And I think that might, if you're not used to a smaller hook, you might not enjoy doing that. I know I use a 3.5mm hook for most of my double knit crochet because I like it quite tight. But anything sort of 4 to a 4.5 is quite standard for a double knit yarn. If anything, this is a little bit small, but it keeps it tight, which is what we need. So let's have another check on this chocolate. And so my chocolate's a little bit sort of misshapen, so it's a little bit hard to check. But have a look at that. You see, if I put that down now, it's hard to check on this because you should sort of look at eye level and you can sort of see. I think that is still a little bit short. So if I pick it up, you can just very tiny bit see the chocolate under there. I don't think it would matter if you were hanging it on a tree or something, but if you want it sat on a side, I think it's got to come all the way to the bottom. So I'm going to revise my pattern, and I'm going to be writing this up as a pattern as well if it's something people want to buy. And I'm going to say it's 7 rounds. Okay, I've got to remember that because I haven't got my pen to write it down. 7 rounds, I'll remember. So this is round number 7. So it is our last round for the body of our little biscuit. So just 1 double crochet in each one. Oh, or not, because I caught it. Oh, there we go, it went through. Lucky with crochet, it's easy to undo if you drop one. Oh, just realised it's gone very quiet outside. We live near a main road and it's usually quite loud. Must be the rain putting everybody off. It's typical that it's raining like this today because I'm having my hair done in an hour or so. Luckily the hairdresser is only 2 minutes away, but I was going to have a little sort of practice run ready for my daughter's wedding, and it's just going to just drop because it's so damp. Right, we are round now. That is our 7th. I'm going to do a slip stitch because I like to finish my rounds, my last round, with a slip stitch, just because I think it looks a little bit flatter than finishing with that double crochet, but you don't have to do that. That's just a purely personal choice. So I'm going to take that off, and just, I know you need to sew these ends in, but just for sort of demonstration purposes, I'm just pushing all the ends in, and I'm going to push my chocolate in, and we have our little biscuit body. That was quite easy, wasn't it? And its head's going to be even easier because it's smaller. Again, it's the same style, but it's just a smaller version. So we're going to do its head now. So we're going to start it is literally exactly the same to start with, slightly less increasing, but otherwise it's the same. So slip knot on the hook. Let's move you over a little bit. 2 chain and 6 double crochets into that first chain. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So that is our first round. Our next round, as with the body, it's going to be 2 double crochets in each to give us 12. So into the first one, so 2 double crochets in each of those 6. So that is 1, and that is 2 sets, that is 3, 4, 5, and 1 more, and 6. So we now have 12 stitches, just tightening up again that center point to make sure, because we don't want a little hole in his head there, because this is going to have stuffing in as well, so you don't want to sort of see stuffing coming through anywhere. We're going to have 1 more increase round. Now this one is going to be 2 double crochets in the first one, and then 1 and 1. Okay, so it is an increase, but it's a smaller increase because we're only going to actually, I'm just looking 1 in 2 there. I think I've written the wrong number down there. I think that should be 1 in 1. Right, revise time. I'm going to do 2 in this first one, 1 in this second one, 2 in the third one, 1 in the fourth one, and you're going to keep doing that round.
So I don't know why I've written it in sort of like an abbreviation, and I've gone 2 in 1, 1 in 2. I don't want that. I want 1 in 1. So 2 in this first one, 1 in the next one. That's one set, and we want that times 6. So this is our second set. 2 in this one, 1 in this one. That's our second set. For set number 3, 2 in 1, 1 in 1. That's set 3. 2 in 1, 1 in 1. Set 4. 2 and a 1. Set 5. Last time, 2 and a 1. So now we should have 18 stitches. That's why I realised I'd done it wrong, because 18, yeah, because I'd written 18 because I needed 6 combinations. And obviously you couldn't get that out of 12 if you'd done what I just mentioned. Now we're only having 4 rounds here, or again until you're happy with it. So I'm going to get my little stitch marker, even though it's a little bit small for this stitch marker, but it still helps a little bit. I don't know if it will go in. So 4 rounds, and then we'll have a look how it sits on top of the body. So just 1 double crochet into each double crochet times 4. So this is our first of our 4 rounds. It's less stitches as well on your rounds now, so it shouldn't take as long. As it's not exactly a long sort of project. Nearly there. Is it lined up? It is. I'm going to say that's the first one of our 4. And I'm going to move my needles again. And that strange method of counting. That is 1 round. 1 needle round. Off we go, second round. Just 1 double crochet in each one. I do believe a beginner could do this quite comfortably. The only part that gets sort of a little bit of a pain is this on the legs. Now you could actually, if you're happy doing a little bit of embroidery or making a chain, you could actually do the legs plain and sort of add on the stitch detail afterwards. Entirely up to you. It's not hard, it's just a little bit fiddly, that's all, when you're doing a changeover with something that's only sort of 6 double crochets round. Get out your curling again. There you go. So that is our, if I don't catch it, that is our round 2 done. So you're already halfway there for the head. And for round number 3, off we go. I'm not really going to bother moving the stitch marker for this, because you can see approximately where it is, and it's only 2 more rounds, so it's not worth moving it. And it does sometimes get in the way. Stitch markers are great, but they can get in the way. Trying to make up my mind whether the camera's slowly getting lower. It feels like every time I look up and look in the camera, it looks like I'm getting closer to my work. I don't think I am, but it feels like that. When I watch it afterwards, and it is, I'll probably end up making another little cover here. I know you want it close, but you don't want it too close. So that is our round 3. So you can see the shape of the little head coming. So I'm going to do just 1 more round, and we'll have a look how it sits on our body. I definitely do have 4 rounds written down for this one. But again, it could come down to your attention. If you want to add an extra row or decrease, or lose, I was going to say decrease an extra row, that sounds confusing, doesn't it? Or just miss out another row. We're nearly there. back to that Christmas tree. One more. Right, I will be doing a slip stitch as my last stitch, but I'm not going to do it for a minute because I want to see that I've got the right size. So let's have a little look. Let's put the body over, and I think that looks about right. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch. As I say, it's just a personal choice. You don't have to do it. I just think it makes it a little bit flatter, your work at the end there. Now, I want to leave a little bit here because I'm going to be using this to sew it on with. So I've left that a little bit longer than I would normally do because I'm not going to be sort of threading it through to get rid of it. I'm going to be using it to stitch it onto the body. So let's get rid of that. And we need to pop some eyes in. So here are my safety eyes. Oh, I thought I'd lost the back of one of them. It's there. Now, obviously, different brands will be different. So you do need to read the instructions and check on how they fit in. I'm going to pop one in there. I just like to get my positioning before I actually fasten them in. Make sure I'm happy with that. I think that's about the same as I've done with that one. I'm quite happy with that. With these particular ones, because it's small, I'm going to turn it inside out. And it looks like some funny little alien. And I'm just going to flatten it down onto the table. With these particular ones, it has to be dome side up. So my dome is facing up, and I click on one, which just holds it in place. Now I'm used to these doing a double click to fit. So 1, 2. Onto the second one. You just have one tie. It's not really a click, the first one, but it just holds it in place. And then we go 1, 2. Now you do have to be careful putting these on. Sometimes if you don't do enough clicks, they're loose against your work. You don't want that. But if you do too many, it pulls into your work, and you don't want that either. It's only because this particular sort of style I stick with, and I'm used to the fact that it usually takes that 2 clicks. Now I'm going to start popping him on to the body. You could put his mouth detail on now if you want, but you'll see why I didn't in a few minutes, but you can do it. It doesn't really matter. And I've got some stuffing ready here. And where's my needle? It's there. My needles I've been counting with. They're all over the place now. This little end here can just be left inside. It helps with a bit of stuffing as well if you do that. So just leave that bit in. Threading my needle up. Ta-da! This is where I have to be careful because I want to pull it towards me because I always sew quite close to my body. Now where I finished, I'm going to say that's the back. So I know I need my eyes coming forward here. So I just sort of hold it roughly where I want it. So I'm sort of quite happy. Oh, pushing the other one over. Bless him. Thinks he's getting pushed out because there's a new one coming. So I got it there. So I'm just going to carefully hold it and turn it over and pop my first stitch in there. Now you have to just keep checking, making sure you're not sort of popping it over to one side, although it gives a nice cute facial expression. Now I'm picking up, see there's the 2 here, I'm only picking up the outer one, so I'm going to pick that one up, and then I'm going to pick up from the same round on there. Now if I fold that out, you can see I am following this round here. Yeah, but because it's spiral, be careful, because if I keep following that round, it'll get lower and lower. So I want approximately, you see there, it'll probably come across. So you need to keep checking where you're stitching because it's very easy to move it in the wrong direction. So I just pick up the outer bit and then a bit of the other one. So I'm literally picking up every single stitch. Don't fasten it all off because we do need to pop that stuffing in there. Otherwise it'd be a soggy biscuit. I'm going to have a little check, make sure I'm not pulling over to one side. Nope, that's okay. Because at this point it is something you can adjust. Try not sort of squash his head down while you're doing it. I think stitching up is an art in its own right. I know it's took me a long time to sort of get it right. And I'm probably still got some problems with it. Let's check. Oh, I don't want to nearly miss a stitch. Nearly missed a stitch. You don't want to miss a stitch because if you miss a stitch, you're going to have a little hole there. I am doing it on the chocolate as well, as you notice, because it just does hold it in place a little bit better. You end up with squashed chocolate. I keep saying I'm going to make a Fimo or a clay, you know, a self-hardening clay or something like that, shape exactly the same, and it will be much easier, and then I'm not tempted to eat it as well, and it doesn't get all squashed. So if you are making a lot of these and you're wanting to sort of check on the chocolate, if you're wanting to check your sizes, I suppose if you've done a few, you don't need to really check, do you? But if you did, it might be worth doing something like that, finding something else that's sort of solid, that is the same size as the chocolate you're using, because otherwise the chocolates get ruined. I mean, I couldn't possibly give that one as a gift for someone, so I would have to then obviously go out and buy some more, which I'm trying not to at the moment because I like them too much. Right, that's my... See, this is what happens. I've been talking so much that I've gone and fastened it all up, haven't I? Good job I'd not completed it with a knot. So I'm going to have to actually undo a little bit, because it's got no stuff in. There's me telling you not to sort of do it all the way around, because otherwise it'll end up as a soggy biscuit, and I've probably gone and done it myself. But it's easy enough to rectify. As you know, with my videos, if I go wrong, I like to show you I've gone wrong, because we all do. So I've left a little hole now, and this is where we're going to pop our stuff in. It could ideally be a little bit larger, so I'm going to have to use my scissors to push the stuffing in there, because I can't get my finger in there. Careful you don't push it too far through though, because you don't want to place a hole in your work. I do find you always have to adjust the eyes as well after you put a stuffing in. Just sort of have to move them over a little bit. Is that enough? Is it enough? I think, yeah, I think that's okay. I'll put my needle, my yarn back in my needle, and pay attention to what I'm doing instead of talking so much. Oh dear. Right, let's get this sewn up. And then we need to do some legs and arms. Now the legs and arms are all the same, so you only need to sort of do it once, and that's all I'm going to do with you guys. Is I'm going to make one, and then I will leave you to make the other 3 for your little biscuit. So I'm going to just tie a little knot with that one. That one's pulled a little bit. Make sure your knots are flat. Sometimes they don't like to sit. If they're not going to sit, sometimes you have to sort of undo them a bit. So I'm going to pull that nice and tight, and I'm going to just thread it through his head, because obviously that's got the stuffing in, so it's going to help hold it in place if you do that a couple of times. There we go. Again, you'll all have your preferred amount of times to do that. I have a thing about doing it 3 times, but there you go. Right, so we can see now. He's missing his details, bless him. He definitely needs some arms and legs, doesn't it? So, let's get on. We're back to our biscuit coloured yarn. And this is literally the same again, but it's a lot smaller, of course. So, slip knot on, yarn ready, 2 chain. And we're going to just do the 6 double crochet into that first chain. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Just pull that tight, and that is all we're working on. There's going to be no more increases. We just have a changeover in yarn. I'm going to do another round first, but I'll just pull the yarn in first. Now this is a slightly sort of, it's got, I don't know whether you can see it. I think you can see the sparkle, can't you? This one's got like a sparkle filament through it. It is still a double knit yarn, but it does, I don't know why, but it's slightly finer. I think it'd be thicker with a filament in, but it's not, it's actually finer. But I do love using this sparkle yarn, and again, it's Christmassy, isn't it? It gives it that extra sort of sparkle there, especially if it's on the tree or something like that. So we're going to have 1 more round in this biscuit colour. Just 1 double crochet in each one. If it goes through. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I'm going to pull this one to make sure that is tight, and it very irritatingly curls like mad at this point. So you do need to push it out, because otherwise it's going to make it very hard for you to just sort of like squish it about until it's right side facing. I am not going to fasten this off when I change yarns, because it's only for one round, so there's no point. It might get in your way, but it saves a little bit on the work later. So I'm going to pull in this white. I've just pulled a little bit off rather than have the full ball on the table. Pop it in my hand, ready. Now before I do it, I am actually going to do a slip stitch next in the brown. Yeah, so it just makes it lower. That you change it however you prefer, but that is just one I found works quite well with these. So here we go. I'm going to pull it in so it's in place, and now we're going to do, make sure that's nice and long there, because otherwise it'll pull out. We need 6 double crochets, so it's 1 in each. This is why it's fiddly. It's not hard, it's just fiddling about with different yarns. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the first white and hold it there. Now I can cut the white off because I'm not going to use any more, but make it nice and long so it's not going to sort of pull out anywhere. And because we hadn't fastened this off, or we hadn't cut this, it's already there for us. So I want to make sure the white is behind it, and I'm just going to pick it up here. And then we're going to be doing DC rounds for as long as you would like the leg. Now again, as you can see, I just had 1 as an extra one, but if you wanted his legs and arms a little bit longer, which you could do, it doesn't really matter, you would need a bit more. So we're just going to do 1 biscuit colour in each of the white colours. Or not. I'm determined to catch this yarn. It's been quite good up to now. Seems to have got a fluffy bit for some reason. So just 1 double crochet into each of the white until we are back to the beginning. I think it's catching because of the filament underneath as well, right in the white. Can you see how it's sort of just picking up a bit of the white at the same time, which is a little bit annoying. Right, so that is as long as I'm going to do my legs, so I'm going to do a slip stitch. I really hope that is going to be clear. I think I need to seriously watch this video before I actually put it out, because I know I was bringing that a little bit close, so I'm hoping it didn't go too blurry. But that is our leg. So basically it is 6 in 1, so 6 double crochets, 1 round in the biscuit colour, 1 round in the white colour, and 1 round in the biscuit colour, and then fasten off. Now pull all the bits tight because you don't want anything coming out. Now you can use this for stuffing really, but it's a bit hard to use it if it's too big, so we'll trim it down a little bit. And I'm just going to push, not this bit because that's a bit for sewing up, I'm just going to push these bits inside. In fact, you don't even need easy stuffing by the time you've pushed them in. I think that's about right. I don't think we need any more, so trim it off. Grab your yarn. Decide whether this is going to be an arm or a leg. As you say, it's a little leg or it's a little arm. We'll make it a little arm. It'd be a good idea to have his eyes front there, wouldn't it? There we go. So I'm just going to pick up a bit and do that all the way around. So make sure you don't get that white bit there sticking out. Your arm positioning can be wherever you want. It can be higher, it can be lower. You could have one arm high, one arm low, as if it's waving to you. There's a couple more stitches. that white in. And I think one more, and I can say I have finished. So a little knot time, and then just push it through the arm carefully and back through again. That should be okay to hold. Snip off any loose ends, and we have a little arm, bless him. Oh, so cute. Right, so obviously you need another 3 of those, exactly the same. Now, as far as the bow tie is concerned, entirely up to you. I did and ah as to whether to just have a ribbon one. That would be as easy, but I decided I wouldn't. I would crochet the whole thing. And again, this could not be any easier, but these are rows now, not rounds. I'm going to do 6 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I'm going to go back down that chain with a double crochet in each, but into the second chain from the hook, so it gives us 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and not 5 and 5. Tighten that one up, and basically that was it. Definitely moving out of focus there. I can see me doing another little gingerbread here. Never mind. Let's have a look. So let's pull that through and fasten it up. We need to get rid of one of those ends. I'm going to get rid of the end that was the starting one. Just grab my needle again. So I'm just going to thread that along out of the way. Make sure it's not going to come loose anywhere. And this is the one that I'm going to use to sort of make it into a bow, sew it onto the little ginger biscuit, and then also do the mouth with it, so it's sort of multi-purposed really. So just to make the bow, I don't think I did that one tight enough. I'm going to just run the stitches along to the center point, try not to pull it too tight, make sure it's relatively flat, and then all I did was I went round and I made a little knot to make it tight. So I've just done a little knot over that middle point. That was all. Make sure it's really tight, because I don't think that one was tight enough. In fact, I'm going to just put another knot in there to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Tight as it gets. There we go. So I have a little bow tie. So there it goes. You could do it as a little bow. In fact, I'm so tempted. I'm going to put mine as a little bow. So I know I have seen gingerbread sort of confectionery like that as well. So I'm going to make this one a bow. You can pop it wherever you want. So I'm going to push it through, then I'm going to push it through to where I want the mouth. So this takes a bit of fiddling. Oh, I like it with a bow. I think that's really cute. And this is where the mouth is going. So I'm just going to push it all the way through. And we have a little mouth there. Now for this all I'm going to do is push it through about 3 times, because it will anchor itself through the actual stuffing. So you don't need to worry too much about it coming off. If again it is going to be into a younger person, perhaps you do need to sort of knot it a little bit and then push it through. But that will sit as far as an ornament is concerned. So we now have, unfortunately, a one-armed gingerbread at the moment, and we just need another 3 arms, which I will do after the video to finish mine off, because I think these might go on my Christmas tree, or they could be gifts. I don't know yet. I can't tell people the gifts if they watch the videos, can I? So I don't know what I'm going to be doing with them just yet. So that is our little gingerbread
Ferrero Rocher cover made today, another little Christmas project. I've got some more to come yet. As I say, Christmas is coming faster than I actually anticipated. I thought I was going to be so organised doing a few videos earlier, and it's not quite working out the same. Okay, so thank you very, very much for watching. If you do enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe and share, and please pop a comment in there. Let me know what chocolates perhaps you used on the inside, or if you decided to sort of change the design up a little bit or something like that. It's always quite a functional one to change into different designs, isn't it? So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.